So, one of the things that you're going to definitely have to do as we move forward with the projects that you eventually settle on, and you're going to have to do this at multiple times throughout the semester, you're going to have to reach out to experts. You're going to have to reach out to stakeholders. You're going to have to find them. You're going to have to do some research and investigate who would care about the product you're making, or who's involved with the making of a product that already solves the problem. It just maybe doesn't do it so well. You're going to have to find a lot of professionals, a lot of people that can aid you in this project. In addition to that, it's probably a good idea for your team to try and find some type of mentor or person who can assist. And then we also need to find people. This is both a task that you'll have and that I will probably take on somewhat as well, to find panel members, people who can sit in on some of these proposals that you have and provide feedback, guidance. When it comes time for these proposals, we'll invite them in, but we have to find them first. So one of the things that I've done in the last week or so is develop a Google form that I then shared broadly. Let's be honest, I put it on Facebook, and I got a few hits, more than a dozen, which is great. A dozen if you don't count Erin's information, which you should definitely count her information. She is more than happy to help you guys out. But this is what it looks like. This is the Google form. I'm still trying to decide exactly how I want to share this with you all, and if you should be able to use it to send out to people, or if you should make your own, that maybe you look at this one and model after it. But this is the one that I came up with. So basically I'm explaining to them what it is we're looking for, as far as if you've landed here and you think, oh my God, this is a mistake, just ignore it and thank you for thinking about it. But otherwise, if you've landed here and you do want to volunteer, we need this information. So people are providing their contact information. So what they want to be called. This is very important, because when you correspond with professionals, you need to know, do they want to go by their first name, their last name, Mrs., Miss, Mr., or Doctor? I forgot to put Doctor on here, and then I had a good friend of mine who is a PhD, and he chose Other and put DR there, and I thought, you know what? I need to put in Doctor. So I've gone back and even modified this since sending out this form. Then they put in their last name. Now, I like to do it by last name first, then first name, or the name that they want to go by casually, if they prefer that. Their email address, as this form did not collect emails automatically. We can talk more about that at a later time as well. The phone number that is best for them to be reached at, if they choose to provide it. Notice that the other questions have an asterisk or a little star next to it, indicating that it is required to answer that question to move on. This one does not have that. People maybe don't want you to have their phone numbers, but they need to provide you some sort of contact. So email address. And I think there are a couple of people already who've replied that didn't put a phone number, and that's okay. Maybe they can share it with you at a later time. Then the next section is all about their field of employment and area of expertise. So what we're talking about here is really trying to find, what are they experts in, and what do they do for a living, if anything at all. Some people might be retired or currently unemployed. That's important. You might be creating a website to help with unemployment, as that is a pretty major problem right now. If you follow the news, you know this. Or an app, maybe. So being able to get in touch with someone who is unemployed might be important. They might be an expert or a stakeholder even for you. Not that they would probably be very proud of being unemployed, but it's something that for you is a very vital piece of information. So, what is your field of employment? What is or are the areas of expertise within that field of employment? And do you have another field of employment? Then there's an option for them to move on to this section if they say, yes, they do have another field of employment, or they say no, and they move on to the next section after this one. These questions just repeat, and then a question at the very end that says, do you have any other fields of employment you want us to know about? And then you would have to ask them in an interview type setup to be able to get any more information about that from them. Then it moves into hobbies or passions, things that they might want you to know that they're very interested in. So they could be, a software engineer, and that's great, but that does nothing for you. But they are also avid bird watchers, and maybe you're making a new bird feeder to solve a problem for something, and you find that their hobby is something that makes them a great stakeholder. So collecting this information from them as well was very important. So what do they consider as a hobby or passion in their life? What's their depth of knowledge in that hobby or passion? And then would they consider themselves to be an expert in that hobby or passion? And then do they have another one? And if they do, again, just like the field of employment, it repeats. At the end, there's a question that says, do you have any others you want to let us know about? And then it gets into what is their level of interest in participating with this venture that we have here, this working with EDD students. All of them were prompted before they even clicked on this link to think about, do they actually want to work with high school students trying to solve these problems? Now, of course, I talked you all up. Some of you, your parents are friends with me on Facebook. You can probably even ask them to show you the post if you haven't seen it already. But this breaks down for them what it means to be a mentor, or what mentoring is in the eyes of, well, I guess me really, but in the eyes of what you would need, in my opinion. And then what it is a stakeholder / expert would be. I kind of grouped them together. And then what a panel member is. And I get into a lot of description here. Now, there's a lot of reading, and most people don't like that in some type of form or survey. You probably know what I mean. But it was important that they know this information, so I was sure to provide for them what they were signing up for if they chose to do it, and to think very carefully about it, because there is going to be a level of expectation that you have of them if they say they want to be a mentor, or a mentor and a panel member. We have a couple of people that chose to be all of those things, and you'll find that if you read through this as well, you'll see that if you're a mentor, you're kind of signing up for all of them, but not necessarily. It's data, and that data that we can collect on what they want to be will help you in the conversations that you might have with them. So then they can choose mentor, stakeholder, expert, panel member, or all of them, or a few of them, whichever ones, for their field of employment. If they want to be, if they're interested in participating based on their hobby, what they would choose to be. And then that's it. And then, of course, the survey thanks them and encourages them to keep an eye out for any emails or things like that from you guys. And I am also following up on Facebook by replying to all of them and saying, oh, thank you so much, I appreciate it, and tagging them in that. So the reason I'm telling you all of this is so that you're thinking along the same lines that I'm trying to think when it comes to reaching out to these people and making sure that they're able to feel good about what they're volunteering for. And that's going to be important. You'll see all of that when we talk about professional correspondence, but it's why thank you notes are important. It's why reaching back out and saying to these people, hey, we need you to be aware of what we want and need, but also we want to let you know that your help was very much appreciated. Anyway, what do you do with this? So at the moment, I have put it in our Canvas in this way. Now, we'll talk more about Canvas and what this means for you down the road, I promise. But I thought it was important to show you where you could find it within Canvas. So this is the home page, which you'll look at a lot. But what you'll notice on the home page is this giant thing right here. And you see how the mouse turns whenever I hover over this picture? It turns into a little hand that you can, it means it's a hyperlink. So you click on it, and it takes you to the next page. Within here, we have all of the components. This should look similar, if you are paying attention at all, to how PLTW has laid out their site. You click on component 0. This is like the first unit. This is all about resources. And if you go down, you'll find that the first resource is all about engineering, design, and development as a course, and the second one's about documenting an engineering design process. And then there's resources that are about teams, timelines, and contacting experts. This is resource Gamma. It's like a lesson, but there's not always an activity or an assignment within those lessons. So this is a weird thing that you're going to have to get used to that's completely different from all the other PLTW courses. I'll click on that, and it takes me to the Gamma resource. I scroll down, and I can find the things that are embedded within them, and then I've provided beside it what those are. So it could be a page or presentations or page and presentation, or in this case, the EDD Help with Project Google Sheet. So this Google form is linked to, using this button right here, a spreadsheet that you have access to. Now you, at this point, only have viewable access to it once you're on Canvas, that is. And if I click on that, it'll jump me. Notice it's Canvas is still right here. It'll jump me out of Canvas into the spreadsheet that's generated by this. And I've gone ahead and used some tools to help spread these things out so that it's not all crammed into one place. But you can also, turn that off if you want to and see things a little more condensed. So basically, we have heard from, at this point, as of the 14th of August, 2020, 13 people. The very first person, timestamp, right? It's kind of important, is my wife. You all know Erin, or most of you do. There are a few of you that haven't had me as a teacher, but you've probably seen her around. She's provided her information. As you start getting this more and more filled up, it's going to be important that you learn the tools necessary to sort and organize, if you don't know them already, this spreadsheet. It's probably going to be a good idea that you do have some sort of editing access to this, but it might also be good for your team to make a copy of it and be like, okay, so as of today, these are the people who are willing to help. It's also going to be a good idea that we provide some way for you guys to identify who has already kind of taken on this person as a mentor, because we should not burden them with another team even asking if they've already committed to a team that's in line with what they seem to be an expert. By no means did these 13 people equate all of your experts, all of your stakeholders, or all of your mentors or panel members. You may not even contact any of these people because your project or your problem that you're trying to solve doesn't line up with them. And they're aware of that. But it is a good idea that if they do, you can start with them. We'll talk more about this form and how you can use it at a later time. Have a great day.